Yeah. So welcome everyone. And we were on psychic aspiration and the unification of the being. So towards the end, we have about 3-4 slides, also a couple of reflective exercises. So aspiration, the presence of aspiration itself, any kind of aspiration, whether mental, vital, psychic, physical, uh, indirectly tells us that there are parts in me which are lower, one can say, darker in shade. And I know that there is something higher possibility, some higher possibility for me parallelly. And that is why the aspiration. Because if everything was perfect, all good, no need for perfection or improvisation, then there is no need for aspiration at all. And also, if all was dark and by nature very dark and dull, then again no need of aspiration. So because of this duality that is there, with all of us feel that we have the lower tendencies, the lower patterns, and parallelly we also have the Buddha nature, or the enlightened heart and mind, and something to that we can evolve, that we can change, so that treasure is in us which can get unmasked, and hence the aspiration. So no one is there, no human being is there who is without imperfections. And the imperfections are precisely there because it's joy to move towards perfection. So because of that joy of adventure and discovery of our own true being. And Mother says that when the souls decided to plunge into this adventure, it was with a lot of readiness that they said, yes, I want to go into this darkness and ignorance, and I want to make this adventure. So just reflecting upon the word aspiration, that the presence of aspiration itself indicates that there is ugliness, weakness, darkness, all of that is there. And parallelly, there is also beauty, harmony, light, clarity, and wisdom. And I can choose if I'm ready. Yeah, do I want to go ahead now, or do I want to still stick to my darker parts, less illumined parts? That choice is given, that freedom is given. So keep sharing at any moment whenever you have any questions or reflections, they're most welcome. So if we have aspiration, it's like a fire, like an inner fire to grow, to progress, irrespective of whatever ugliness I may see in myself. Or because of that ugliness that I see, I also know that I have the possibility to go ahead. Aspiration will help to lift the veils from the psychic being. And when we talk of the psychic being, we can talk about all the goodness, kindness, compassion, intelligence, clarity of mind, clarity of thoughts. All that is the function of psychic being. So when we aspire, when we say that I want to progress, I see myself and I want to progress, I know that I can be better, I can do better, it helps to unmask the goodness in us, which is our birthright, each one of us. So, psychic aspiration is the call of the being for higher things, for the divine, for all that belong to the higher or divine consciousness. And this is what we ended, where in the last session we did a kind of a meditation, a dynamic meditation by Amita Didi from Gnostic Center here in Gurgaon, where she was reciting out a few words, lines from Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that whatever you see in yourself like a weakness or a ugliness or a burden or a weight, or a pattern coming up again and again, tendency, all of that you put in this inner psychic fire in the depths of the heart. So this was the meditation that we did, and it was also part of the course Pain and Suffering. So Swapna, you would also remember, uh, if you may remember that meditation that we had in the theme psychic being, week 5, 6 or so. So that was the,
So,
yeah. Yes, Shweta.
can you send that meditation link?
हाँ हाँ, मैं आपको,
Possible?
या
I'll save you the video.
yeah, I'll send you, yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
send in on the WhatsApp group. So this can be used again, because we keep on changing as a human being, we keep on evolving. So one meditation may not work every time that you connect with, but I have used it many times in many phases, and it really is very, like, it brings you forward. If you are going down in the weight of your egoistic patterns, then you can offer it all as a ahuti in the depths of your heart, whatever is burdening you, and then use it as a raw material for progress. So that's the crux of that meditation. And then yeah, somebody asks the mother how to light the psychic fire. So I don't have the psychic fire, mother, how to light it? So mother says, by the will for progress and by the urge towards perfection. And whenever we talk about the urge towards perfection, we also have to see that if I am an artist, for example, and if I have an urge towards perfection, I must be able to very objectively look at the defects that are in my art. So okay, this is lacking, this still can be improved, this can be worked upon. So a very objective view of my own being is very important here. Only then I can work upon whatever I want to change. And then I have a will that yes, I know I am here at that this moment of time, but I know this is not my destiny. I can move on and grow on in perfection. So this will is something which keeps us alive. Those all the people who we see that they have this will for, they are receptive to listen to people, other people, and they are ready to work upon whatever it may be, art, music, or it may be their own being. So if something is coming from outside and it tells that maybe some correction is needed, they take it in their stride and they're able to work upon themselves. So it also maintains a kind of a fluidity, that I'm not becoming very rigid in my personality. So this
Yeah.
urge towards perfection. Yes, yes, Shweta.
Sorry, Monica. Like I just found something just today only Byron Katie, so I wanted to read that small forward related to what you were saying now. So she says, if you notice that you're arguing with someone today, stop, and if you have the courage, listen closely and carefully to identify where that person is right. And later, when you are ready, admit specifically where they were right and thank them. So this just resonated. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. इस पे कबीर का भी मेरे को एक दोहा याद आ रहा है, वेयर ही सेज, साधु ऐसा चाहिए जैसा सूप सुभाए, सार सार को गही लहे, थोथा दे उड़ाए. So just like you said, that if a person said something and maybe that hurt you, so remove the tone of the person, maybe abusive or whatever, and look at the content, that maybe there is some truth that you can work upon. So sadhu, true sadhak is the one who only takes the crux of the matter and removes the rest of the husk, which is not necessary. So yeah, this is a powerful way to grow forward if you can do this. So this is where we last ended. So taking up the next one. So these are words by the mother. Many a times there is frustration in the being. There is aspiration, but there is frustration also. So regarding that, so would anyone want to read this out? Both passages for us.
I could read. Aspiration mixed with anguish. As soon as the presence of the psychic consciousness is united with the aspiration, it is as if it were filled with the very essence of an inexpressible joy. This joy is there as though it filled up everything. It carries you in spite of everything. Aspiration may come from different parts of the being. It may come mainly from the mind, mainly from the vital, or even from the physical. It is the vital which gives the intensity to aspiration. And as the vital is at the same time the seat of most of the difficulties, obstacles, contradictions, It is the friction between the intensity of the aspiration and the intensity of the difficulty which creates this anguish.
Yeah. So, vital is the seat of enthusiasm, that yes, I want to progress, and all this energy, wanting to do things, explore things, work on ourselves. This is all enthusiasm, mother says, is coming from the vital. But since there is also this energy in the vital, it also can transmute into frustration, that I'm at it, but why isn't it happening? So this frustration can also develop because of the same life energy, the vital energy. And uh, that's why people who have a very strong vital, they can be beautiful servants of the divine, because they have this energy that wants to serve. So if it goes in a wrong direction, it in a low direction, then it can get frustrated, annoyed, and mood, all these mood swings are because of the vital. But if we keep the intention pure, which is I think it's a day to day task, moment to moment task, because from time to time impurities do get collected in our intentions. So if we keep our intentions pure, then there is a possibility that the only purpose that I have in my head, the only purpose me being here, is growth of consciousness or union with the divine, or working for the divine, use any term. And then if I again and again realign myself with this aim, then everything in front of that becomes secondary. So if a person said something, okay, secondary, what can I learn from this? So again and again, as if I'm correcting my inner compass, right? Okay, this is what the aim is. And then even if, for example, somebody said something or something happened and my mood is going to slump down, but immediately I notice the mood, and I talked to myself and I said, okay, is this helping me grow in consciousness? No. So then I don't stand by the mood, and then I'm letting the mood aside and doing what is necessary, what expands me, what widens me. So when we listen to the moods and the swings of the moods, which all of us have experience with, uh, then we are actually listening to the vital ego. It is the egoistic consciousness that we are identifying with. I am my mood. But when we more and more become a witness of our moods and ups and downs, then we have this possibility that, okay, we see a ripple of a mood arising and we don't identify with it. So I don't slump when the mood wants to slump down. I just look at it and keep looking at it, and whatever necessary is required takes place, gets done. But I don't spoil my mood because of whatever happened, because the aim is growth of consciousness. So can I just again and again keep my focus right? Now there comes the Aryan spirit, what Sri Aurobindo talks about. This is the Aryan spirit. Aryan doesn't mean that you don't fail. You fail several times, but you have so much of enthusiasm and energy putting into the right directions, that now you say that no matter how many times I fail, aim is learning, perfection, growth of consciousness. So I'll get up again, I'll get up again, I'll get up again. That's the Aryan spirit or the warrior spirit. So now I think it's time for all of us who are attending, we are in stages of our life, that it's time now that we let go of our moods and mood swings, and uh, maybe travel to a kind of a field which is beyond moods, something more than moods. So then I'm transcending the vital ego, the consciousness, ego consciousness, me and my limited self and my needs and my desires. So what if they are not fulfilled? I have a higher aim to which I am progressing. So what if the needs are not fulfilled? So you're keeping yourself, your needs on side, and these are not my needs; these are the egoistic needs. So when I put the egoistic needs aside, which bring me down, I'm actually placing my true self in front, which is our essence, the psychic being. So that's my possibility. But this requires a moment to moment awareness, because many a times our mood goes down and we don't even know that it happened. So this witnessing, or the, in Hindi we call Sakshi Bhav, that's very important. And that's what we try to do, for example, using Buddhist meditations, by bringing the mind with the breath, bringing, centering the mind in, gathering the consciousness, so that the threads of consciousness are not scattered all around, thinking about this, that. It's just very centered and in gathered, and then whatever action is required gets done intuitively. You get the insight and you do the action. So excessive thinking is not required. And there is joy. Yes, Swapna? Yeah.
I was just going to say how this putting your own, say, needs aside. I mean, that quotation about the psychic and the friction, between the psychic and the vital. I really resonated with that, or it was like a a recognition, because I noticed, this putting aside my own needs, it's not an easy thing. I mean, I absolutely appreciate you saying it so clearly, because absolutely makes sense. It's like, if I put my needs aside, then it's allowing my true self to come to the forefront. Yet, my goodness, if you're triggered, or Byron Katie came up in this conversation, if there's in the mind there's stories running that belong on like a worksheet, that are very, very judgmental, or full of needs and shoulds and wants and all these things. It's like I just noticed the energy of the vital can, behind that, then the negative side of the vital, if you want to call it, can be so big, it can be so huge. So just not an easy task at times to just put them aside. I don't know if that comes with practice, perhaps, or
I think Mother also says that you must be really disgusted with your old ways now that you can put it aside. So she uses this word disgust. I resonate with it very much. That if I'm not fed up with my old ways, if I have not yet suffered enough with my old ways, I can't stop. Somehow I am kind of a dog's tail. So to me, what has helped and helps, is that haven't I suffered enough putting my needs in front and running after my needs, expectations, demands, trying to mold everything according to what I want? Haven't I done that enough? And if I say, oh, I have done that enough and suffered doing that enough, then it somehow makes me very convinced that I don't want to walk that path again. It's torturous for myself, it's torturous for the other people around. And then I'm able to step aside, put my needs aside. And that really brings a lot of joy. Try, those of us who have, I'm sure we all have tried putting our needs aside in many, many cases, situations in our life. That you may want things in a certain way, and you become conscious of your want to do things a certain way, and you say, okay, let it be in the corner. And how can I benefit the other person? How can I serve the other person? And life really, it doesn't take day or two. It is a matter of a moment that the life changes, the shift in consciousness. And that's the path of the bodhisattva, that he puts his needs aside, because now there is a conviction, there is a will to serve others and benefit others. Why? Because I've first of all suffered enough, and secondly, I know this is not the right way to go. We all have a knowing, and the same vital which was earlier with this energy going down in moods and all kind of drama, the same vital can become such a powerful instrument because it has so much of energy. Vital is vitality, energy. The same energy can go. That's why we have passionate musicians, art people, artists, passionates, even uh, passionate servers serve the servants of divine, they, through them a lot of work gets done of the divine, because they have so much of zeal and energy. So this is our possibility, I would say, that the same vital which is troubling me because I'm sticking to my needs, my desires, my expectations, now if I have done enough, I can leave my stubbornness and put myself to good work. And the same vital will have joy. That's what Mother is sharing, that the psychic aspiration, when the psychic consciousness is coming together with the aspiration, it brings joy and fulfillment. So you are not dependent on the material stuff or people or situations. That that aim of serving others, putting your time to serve others, that itself is joy, that brings purpose and joy. That's the possibility of vital.
Yeah, thanks. It's helpful. Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is very beautiful, Here Mother says that as soon as the presence of psychic consciousness, and again related with goodness of the heart, wanting good and benefit of others, and of course me included, but benefit of others. Mostly I'm working off for benefit. How can I benefit this person? How can I, okay, whatever my demand is, expectation is it benefiting this person? That's the main aim. That's the main aim. And in front of that aim, everything is secondary. So as soon as the presence of psychic consciousness or bodhicitta or good heart, awakened heart, enlightened heart is united with the aspiration, it is as if it was filled with very essence of an inexpressible joy, that now you feel, oh, that now I am making good use of this human birth, at least one drop less poison less in this vast ocean of poison. So that's my contribution. So inexpressible joy, this joy is there as though it filled up everything, it carries you in spite of everything. So one, again, these are just mere words if not for a lived experience. So those of us who have tasted the vital aggression and annoyance, and now if they want to practically experience this filling up, joy welling up in the being, I think it's really worth the practical experience. So I think this we indirectly covered, that the vital different kinds of aspiration which we had earlier touched upon: mental aspiration, vital aspiration, physical, psychic aspiration, and vital, which is the seat of most difficulties because it is very sticky. It sticks to my idea of life, my opinions. This is what I want from this relationship. So this stickiness is the vital sense. And this is the seat of most difficulties, most obstacles, contradictions. It is the friction between the intensity of aspiration and the intensity of difficulty that creates this anguish. So that's also leading to frustration, because wanting things my way and not opening oneself, not dissolving this rigidity and having faith. So towards the end of the chapter also we have faith, because with faith we can open up, that I know that I am in the mother. Mother is in me, and we are all in the mother. And how would you feel when you are in the mother? Mother is this vast, infinite, humongous being, and all of us are in her. So, do I still need to worry and be anxious or panic so much when we are all in the mother, knowing that things are taken care of? Even if I'm gone and my kids are there or children are there, I know that things are taken care of because everyone belongs to the mother and she has a better plan than what we have in our heads. So then the anguish also has the ability to get dissolved. So the next step after, again, this is taking reference from the workbook that we have been following. The next step is that we must understand the reason for the frustration. So to dissect whatever frustration is there. And then if you can introduce just one more element in your aspiration, trust in divine grace, or what we were saying, faith. If I have faith that I know that I'm struggling right now, but I also know that there is a higher plan of things. So can I submit to it? Can I let it unfold in front of me? So trust in divine grace, divine response. It counterbalances all possible anguish, all the frustration, and you can aspire without any disturbance or fear. So again, mere words if not experienced practically. So this has to be really taken down to the ground level in our lives. Otherwise, it comes and goes. There's no really effect. And this is what we have to actively do for unification. So if I want now that I am a unified whole and not contradictory personalities in me, for unification, you have to practice conscious control so that your thoughts, feelings, and actions are under the influence of your psychic center. So in my thoughts, goodness, benefit. In my feelings, goodness, benefit. And in my actions, goodness, benefit. Body, speech, mind, as in Buddhism they say, body, speech, and mind. This all has to become one. That in thoughts, I'm not wanting ill will of anyone. And even if a older pattern comes which judges people, criticizes them, I notice it, I offer it to the mother. Notice it, offer. Now I'm not going to follow the dictates. So this is how I unify myself. I see whether it's ugly or beautiful. Whatever thought is going on in my head, is it ugly? Is it beautiful? We have that light of consciousness with which we can see. And then I choose whose dictates to follow. If it's a good thought, beautiful thought, harmonious thought, I follow it. But if it's a thought which now I want to abandon, so I let it go. I don't exercise it in my action. So this is how I constant moment to moment consciousness of my thought, feeling, and action has to be there if now we want to unify ourselves. And mother says that if that one day we were doing in Friday study circle, we were studying death, compilation on death, and there mother was saying that we have gotten this chance of unification when we have got this human birth, and it's up to us whether we want to let it go waste, which we do, or when once we have realized that this is my possibility, now begin the work. Because don't expect that if you don't unify yourself in this life, by after that it's going to happen automatically. No, that's not going to happen. Wherever I leave, I'm going to restart from that place only. So if I leave with a very sticky, if I leave the body, drop body dead at a very sticky place, I will be born with that stickiness because I need to resolve it. And if I drop dead with, for example, a lot of aspiration and goodwill and progress, then I'm again carrying it further in my life also. So what would I want to carry is the question. As Kabir ji says, that Maya mari na man mara, mar gaye sharir, Asha Trishna na mari, keh gaye Das Kabir. So he says that what you have to die to is your desires. Because the same desires will, like a guthrie, like a potli of desires, it will be given to you when you take the body next. And we don't know when we are drop dead. So at every moment, I have to, like keep this clean, keep the heart clean, keep the body clean. So that, because death is uncertain, I don't know. And hence, whatever I am at the moment of death, I carry on in the other life. So what would I want to carry in the other life? And that is what I must be thinking or feeling, or the level of consciousness right now. So it becomes a bit urgent. And when we do the unification, then with this self-knowledge that comes along with as a byproduct of unification, this self-knowledge will help you to find the truth of your being and your true mission here upon earth. So most of us live a life where we don't know whether what we are doing is, am I made for this? Is it my true calling? And most of the life is spent and we don't even know what am I born for, because each one is born for something. It may be very little something, but we all have very unique capacities which we can offer to this universe. So if we can now, if we have suffered enough and had really lots of stubbornness to have fulfillment for my needs, my desires, my expectations, little me, then if I'm now ready to have an expanded life, slowly with the offering and asking mother that I am ready, use me for your purpose, then we see that the life unfolds in front of us and each one has something unique to offer to the universe. We are not born for the four walls. Me, my family, my children, my relatives, we all are born for something really more greater and more powerful, beautiful. So with this process of unification, that also gets unfolded. So let's take a few reflections if there are any, and then we have this exercise that we can do today. So are there any reflections at this moment?
For me, something, it feels like it's from the vital, yet it's been, kind of repeating in my mind about like to put someone else's needs first, say, or is it for their highest good? It's something that's obviously a stumbling block because it's come up before too, which is how, where's the boundary with just being taken for granted, or even to the point of being abused, or whether it's in a professional setting or private life, and how far does one go, or how far is it that it stops being like, if one is egoless, then is none of that, if the other's reaction or the other's treatment of me, if I'm completely egoless, then is it okay no matter what they do, or how much they appreciate or don't appreciate, or yeah, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but there's just this concept of being taken for granted, or letting myself perhaps stay then too far into something, or too long. Yeah.
So I think it's almost like Swapna, like we are extrapolating. So when I'm not in the water, I'm asking the people who are in the water, how is it going to be like? Would I be dry? Would I be cold? Would I be able to keep myself afloat? Now, the person in the water can only give us hints and clues, or maybe encourage us to get into the water, but the real experience has to be yours in the water, since you like water very much. So for example, if I'm asking you, oh Swapna, how is it to scuba dive, and how is it, with the dolphins and the coral reefs? Obviously, whenever you are sharing, it's like it's not even 1% of what you really feel when you are there, when you are talking to me. You can't really put it into words, that experience, or even if you put it into words, it's very little that gets percolated to me, and then you would say, why don't you come and join me someday, and then you would know how beautiful it is. So this is also something like that, putting their needs more, their benefit more important than yours. Unless it is practiced, no. आनंद अभी थोड़ी देर में आना। रुको, इधर आ जाओ। अभी आना, पापा उठ गए। So I think this just has to be practically experimented. One cannot just mentally theorize or extrapolate that, oh, if I put others before me, then I will maybe more abuse will happen, and they will take me for granted, because I can just say that that is not my experience. So this is what I can share from my behalf, but what is the experience is totally up to you. So I would say dive in, and then maybe you get the idea according to your practical experiences how it is. Without diving in, no true experience would be possible.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. The analogy of the watch is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Monica, I think I would have shared earlier with you that my aspiration was to work in the field of environment. Even right now, I'm working in the field of water only, which is quite close. So I don't believe I have a problem with the quality of my aspiration. My issue is I get distracted too often. My mind is scattered all over the place. Okay, when I do some meditation, okay, for some time it becomes okay, then again it goes all over the place. So I think there is a problem of perseverance. There's a problem of willpower or whatever. I don't know what's the right word to call for it, but it's not letting me go. I'm moving in the direction I want to go, but it's going in loops actually. So you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, then 1 step sideways, and then go again 1 step forward, that sort of thing. uh, I don't know how to control this. I've been trying it, going on it for a long time now, but that's where it stands.
No, completely resonate with what you're sharing, and it is not only you, it's all of us. And why is it so? Because we all have attached spots, we all have old patterns and samskaras, so they will keep on coming. Be sure that these loops will keep on coming, and if, for example, maybe for 2 minutes you are able to be with the breath or the mantra, and then the thoughts sweep you away. Now, knowing that this is going to happen, one thing which can help me is to let me know that those whatever loops appear again and again, I don't have to take them seriously. So you may have gotten lost, because
No,
this is a
just sorry for interrupting.
please,
My
please.
issue is I know that I should not flow with this, but I'm not able to do it. That's the issue. So
So
I'm struggling there.
repeat your issue again.
So all these useless and scattered thoughts keep coming and distracting, right? I know that I should not be listening to them. I know I should not be giving them mind space. In theory, I know these things. In practice, I'm not able to do it. That's the issue. This is my struggle. So meditation, all these things help me for some time, but they're not giving a permanent solution.
No, so there is no permanent solution. First of all, even those enlightened masters, they have to continue working. It's not like if for 10 years I have meditated, now I can drop meditation. That is never going to happen. So there is no permanent solution. One can be sure about it. But if you have the will and aspiration and know that, okay, these are useless thoughts in which I get engaged again and again, at the moment, definitely you are deriving some kind of rasa out of that thinking. Because it is not possible that I first of all indulge in that, and then later on I call them useless. So some use is there. So this has to be checked. This is what we call purification of intention, that I don't have to
Okay.
fool myself. So enjoy.
Right.
Enjoy if you want to, but then don't call it useless, because it has a use. It is giving you the juice. So
Right.
as long as you enjoy the juice, I would say, if you can stop, but if you enjoy. And very soon what happens, a suffering comes.
Right.
If you are lucky, if the grace is with you, an active aspiration is there, then because of this continuous engagement in these useless thoughts, suffering will come. And when suffering will come, then maybe your conviction towards keeping the mind still and bringing the mind to the present moment, that will become stronger. So maybe wait for that suffering to come.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's reflect upon these points. You can write them down in your whatever pencil, paper you have, and then we'll take some time and reflect over these.
Monica, what is this? Reflect on the passages that touched you the most.
Yeah, so this is for those of us who have the PDF of the workbook. I think most of us have, because I had shared it on the group. So it was a suggestion from the workbook that you can reflect on the passages that we have read and which really deeply resonated with you. So that was
Yes.
that. Yeah, but this is
कैसे कर
not,
सकते हैं?
हाँ अभी नहीं करेंगे ये वाला हम. अभी हम we are going to take these here,
Okay.
reflect upon these questions or whatever statements. So the quality of your aim and ideal, how high is my ideal or aim for my life, and if not, would you like to formulate your aim or ideal anew? So if there is a lack of focus or kind of a blurry focus, then can I formulate it anew, afresh? What is the aim of my life being here? Then the next one is, from where comes your urge for living within? So we are all spending time. We have come to this session and we want to live within. There is an urge. What forms that base of living within? What is my propelling instinct? Why do I want to live within? That is what I have to check within. The quality and intensity of my aspiration, I have to just reflect over it, like whatever degree I can find within me. The completeness of my surrender, and the presence of psychic consciousness in me. Again, these last three would be our own personal reflections. We just have to assess our own self, and the first two and three we can maybe share our reflections on. So, just giving yourself a bit of time and seeing if any word or any line or anything which comes to you.
Polit
Yeah,
तो
Shweta.
ऐसे नहीं
Hmm.
yeah so quality of my aim, it's not futuristic. I don't have a vision, but it's like moment in the moment. There is a quality, there is an aim moment by moment. मुझे आप आगे का पूछो तो मुझे नहीं पता है, कुछ भी नहीं पता है what I want, or but in my now I feel this aim matters and this presence matters and this reflection matters. It's always in the now, in the moment. And ideal though, I don't know, again, there is no ideal that I want to reach, or there's no quality of that ideal. Again, it's like, for me, it's the divine grace. That's the ideal key. uh, like, but मुझे बस वो अभी के लिए समझ आता है, अब क्या कर रही हूँ, अब क्या हो रहा है, उसी में समझ आता है वो. आगे का मुझे कुछ भी नहीं पता है, where it wants to go, कुछ नहीं. But continuous reflection, it's become a, it is a thing, and it just, and क्यों, like, I'll come to the third one. So second one, would you like to formulate your aim or ideal anew? Like I said, no, I don't want to, because I don't even know. It's why I'm doing this. From where comes your urge for living within? What forms the base for living within? बिकॉज सुकून मिलता है. देर इज दिस, बहुत चैन मिलता है, बहुत, मतलब अंदर से इतनी शांति मिलती है. सो दैट इज माई मोमेंट टू मोमेंट. आई डोंट नो व्हाट इज द reason or kya, but this is all I understand. It feels home. That's all. Home, like, that's all. So
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
So, in my case, as I mentioned, I think I took some time to know, envision my life. How do I want it going forward? I think there was clarity on that. But uh, so I wanted to actually live the rest of my life with kindness, compassion, love, and be at peace with myself and with others. More so with myself, because that's where I didn't have it all my life. So And if you ask me, uh, what has moved me forward all the while is uh, I most of my life I've been alone, so I knew I have to make something of myself. So that kept me propelling onwards for many years. It burnt me out also in the process, but it kept me going for many years. At least for 3 to 4 decades of my life, that's what happened. But then, uh, you know, the other things that kept me going were also um, things like justice, equality of opportunities, all have to do with my background, basically. But I've never had the courage to pursue them, actually. While I have clarity on this is what I need to do, I've put in enough, efforts to overcome my own circumstances. Is there something I can be of use to others? Use my experience to help, but I've never had the courage to follow up on that. I all the while I've done all these things, whether it is meditation, yoga, whatever it is, to find some peace and tranquility in myself, but it's not translated into helping somebody else or something like that. Beyond environment, which is uh, nothing to do with. All my issues have been with people, and I have never actually done anything to, do anything for people. So uh, that sort of thing. Intensity is high, but distraction is also high. Courage is lacking, and I keep flitting from one goal to another. So that focus is not there actually. The other part is, while I do believe in the divine, I do believe in all this. Uh, all my life, I've had some obstacle or the other. So sometimes I also wonder: is there something called divine grace? If it is, will it ever shine in my life? So that surrender is never complete. I hope that it will shine, but the fact that I have to struggle for so many years of my life, I'm not meaning financially, but in other ways in my life. So, I've battled loneliness, I've battled abandonment, I've battled all these things from a very young age. So it's actually drained me and made me fatigued actually. So there is a past that's haunting. There is an inability to let go. So these, I think, are things which are coming in between. I think these would be my answers to some of these questions. I try to be as honest as I could.
Thank you so much, Berenji. Okay. So there is something I want to read with your sharing. It's coming from uh, a book by Jane Goodall, but it's about somebody else. So there is this person whose name is Henry Landworth, and he was there in the when the Nazi death camps were going on. So he was there and he survived, and he has written his autobiography, The Gift of Life, Henry Landworth. So in this autobiography, he describes those years during which he saw, heard, and experienced man's inhumanity to man firsthand. Since you were talking about so many difficulties and mishappenings in the childhood, so here he talks about what was happening in the Nazi death camps, and somehow he survived. But he was left blinded by hatred, by a child's need to hurt others as I had been hurt. So he said that if I have been hurt, I must be allowed to hurt others. Right? So and then he talks about, just a second, yeah, here. So he writes just a few lines I'm able to going to read. Henry writes in his book, "Where does a heart truly broken, a spirit hopelessly abandoned, find hope?" All the mishappenings of life really tortures on you. Where does a heart truly broken, a spirit hopelessly abandoned, find hope? So now, Birenji, that you're talking about these things and you're not afraid to talk about, you're still alive and kicking, no matter what all tribulations you went through. And not saying that they were right and they should have happened, not saying that, but things happen. We know world wars happen, atrocities happen. So he says, he gives the answer. What exists within a human being that allows for survival amidst such devastation? It must be God. Who else could it be? So since you said that, I still doubt, because I had to go through so much, and no doubt about it that you had to. Many of us have to, have been through. But we are alive, we are functional. You are able to formulate your thoughts so clearly, so crisply, you are able to walk the path. So that is the indication where we can, if we want, we can lay our doubts to rest. That what in me allows, after so much of shaking and breaking, that I'm still here, still surviving, still functional, still alive, and have still the spirit that I want to have compassion, kindness, and love towards all. And he says that it must be God. Who else could it be? Presence of God within us, that after so much we are able to talk about this.
It's a great thing. It reminds me of another book. I
Yeah.
read two other books by similar background. One was by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I think he makes two crucial points in that whole book. The first one is, everything can be taken away from you except your own choices. Even in the bleakest of circumstances, you can make your choice. I think that's the key takeaway from that book. The second takeaway from that book, which I found very, you know, uh, very good, was again that's about his own survival in a Nazi concentration camp only. So he talks about that he followed up with people who survived with him. His work became a seminal work, actually, Viktor Frankl. So, and he said that if I were to categorize the people who went into both the categories, he found that he could split these guys into two categories. One, uh, for whom the hardship made them even better human beings. So, they must have struggled, but they became better human beings. And the second was the set of people who got overcome by the circumstances and then inflicted hurt on others. And he said there was no third category, it was just these two. And I think these were the two takeaways. So again, it comes down to a choice which one you want to be in. The second book which I read was Dr. Edith Eggers. She also survived a Nazi concentration camp. Her mother and sister were burnt in front of her, all that stuff. I think most of they were not as spiritual as the one that you talked about, but I think the messages were more or less the same, both of them.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes.
Thank you,
I'll read this book
Berenji.
as well. So I'll read this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Berenji, that was really nice. The takeaways that you read it for us. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you want to read now, or Birenji, are you reading now, or?
No, I already shared. So
Okay, okay, okay. I thought you were reading something. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yes, Swapna, please go ahead.
Yes, I too wanted to also say thank you, Berenji, for being so authentic and as well having the courage to be vulnerable and be that honest with your answers. I could resonate with a lot that you said. I'm noticing from my answers right now, just in general, about a day and a half ago, I was extremely triggered by something, and so it's just noticing how my answers reflect when my vital is really flaring up, so I get to see really clearly what that state or that level of consciousness does, so like the quality of my aim and ideal, and it's like I just really answered from this very present moment, so there's words such as low, vague, shitty, it's like strong vital, it's taking away the positivity that the psychic promises, so just seeing that so clearly, and yet there's that awareness, thankfully for her, by her grace, from where comes this urge to live within, and what forms the base, and it is the psychic. That's the answer that came, despite the fact that I'm still in the triggered state, the heart, something deep inside. And then the quality and intensity of the aspiration, it's weak, it's hurt. It's like hurt ego. And so again, seeing that it's like that passage that we'd read earlier, about the friction between the psychic and the vital. It's like exactly that, like just seeing that in my answers and my experience, and the completeness of my surrender, then it feels poor. There's a sense of doubting mother, doubting if she's looking after me truly, or letting me go astray, doubting if I were to change things, whether she would really be there for me, so seems such childlike doubts. So it's such young doubts, yet there they are, again, in the moment. And the presence of the psychic, it gets overridden quickly by the vital desires. So just noticing, so if I'm triggered, how quickly. And it becomes very much about what we also touched on, wanting something from another, or wanting people to change, or not relying fully on the divine, seeing that so clearly. Yeah. So it was very enlightening to the exercise, and be very honest and just be very present,
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I think, as Berenji shared, that we always have a choice, and this can be true for all the moments of our life. So the moment I see the vital ripple arising, something in me arising which doesn't feel lit up, which feels dark, it feels evil, I have a choice. I have a choice whether to listen to its dictates and hence again give the ego the first hand, or whether I have a choice to look at it and say that haven't I had enough of you, something like that, and just don't go into its grip and stay as awareness, identify ourselves as awareness, and whatever action needs to be taken gets taken from that stance of awareness, and not getting identified with the dictate of that evil thing that comes from time to time in us. And we sense it in our being, the moment I'm able to let it go, look at it and let it go, we sense a relief and expansion. If we are truly, our intention is truly be on the path. And the moment I listen to the dictate and do an action or speak a word according to the dictate, I don't feel easy. I feel uneasy in the being. So one needs to develop this taste for an easy life. Easy in this not sense outwardly sense, easy in the sense that inwardly things are simple and sorted. That we don't get entangled within again and again. So if we slowly develop a taste for that ease, then the moment unease arises because of dictate of a pattern, comes up, or mood or anything, then I'm able to detect that unease, and I have a choice. I can exercise choice whether to go about by it or not go by it. And that will be the one which is deciding my moment to moment future. What Shweta is sharing, that I'm not concerned about some future aim, but more concerned about what's happening in the moment. I think that's a beautiful, because if I have a pot of water, and if I'm able to take care of each drop, then I don't have to care about the whole pot. I just am purifying the each drop. So if we can in each moment be conscious of what's happening in the being, and take step or action or choose wisely and rightly, bring the true self in front and put the ego aside, the limited demands of the ego, then I don't have to worry about my future at all. That's absolutely true. Because when each moment is happening, future will also happen like one moment. So I'm practicing towards that. And that also, as Shweta was telling, that it brings me so much of contentment. When we are on the right path, when we exercise choice, when we practice consciously, then you feel fulfilled, you feel joyous for no reason, just because you are able to work upon yourself. And this is the true joy. Rest all the joys may be coming and going, but this joy nobody can take away from us. This work, The joy of inner progress, the joy of inner work. Nobody can take away, even if we land up in prison and in a devastating condition. This is so personal that nobody can take away this from us. That's true freedom. It's true freedom. So, we are going to end this workbook that we started, because now it starts with integral classroom, and since we are not doing the teaching education here, so we are not going into that, and with psychic education it kind of ends here. Rest of them we have touched upon earlier, and I thought it will be nice to, and again, not saying that integral education is just this. We have just touched the tip of the iceberg, and there is it's vast, oceanic, and I cannot go there. I just can touch upon it, and I can practice little things in my life, and then slowly they expand according to our needs. So my question at the moment is, for those of us who are inclined, if you want to drop out, it's totally okay. Shall we take up another book? Just a question, we don't have to decide today. Maybe another book to reflect upon, like greater psychology we have, or we have integral healing, which is regarding mental, emotional health, physical healing. Would you be interested if we take up on Sunday?
Yes, I would.
Yes,
So,
yes, Monica,
okay, so
definitely.
any choice whether we take
Yes.
up greater psychology or we take integral healing?
For me personally, integral healing like feels like more
हाँ,
what I want to
ठीक है.
know, but others
Same.
can also decide. Yeah.
For me also same.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so we can start with integral healing. It's a beautiful compilation. I've worked on it earlier when I was going through my experiences with the illness and seeing the correlation with mother's words. So I would really enjoy that as well.
Could you please share the PDF again, because I
Yeah,
don't think I saved it. So
I will find it. I'm not sure if the complete PDF is available, but even if it's not, what we can do is I can scan the pages which we are going to do in one session, and I can give it to you. That is a
so
possibility.
even for this course, if you have,
This, yeah, this PDF is available. I'll reshare it. Yes.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Monica. I
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed it actually. I think it was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for participating. Otherwise, it's nothing if we are not participating. So, thank you, Shweta. Thank you,
Thank you
Swapna.
so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Beautiful session.
Yes, thanks a lot. Lovely to be here again. Thank you.
Great. So, Swapna, for you also, integral healing would be okay whenever you are able to join Sundays.
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine. That sounds fine. I'm drawn to both, so
ठीक है.
so I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Then have a good
Okay.
Sunday.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.